there is no objective reason whatsoever for short-barreled rifles to be regulated under NFA items at all. So clear back in 1934, when Congress was first introducing the National Firearms Act, they were looking at what criminals were actually using in crime, and also, the gun control's trying to add everything they could to it, and they were going to pass a law to make these items much harder to get. So much so that they introduced a tax that was $200 then and has stayed $200 throughout this whole time. And just for inflation, that number is, I'll put it in text. Anyway, it's a lot of money. And so essentially they were saying, hey, if you're poor, you can't have these guns. So a lot of criminals make it a little bit harder for them. But if you're wealthy, you can. When they were looking at these weapons, there were a couple different weapons that they were looking at. So first were fully automatic weapons, machine guns essentially. Second were silencers or suppressors. And then the third item were, they call them AOWs, so that's any other weapon is what it's called. So think of those as like your weird guns that there's a reason you don't see guns like in a pen that you just pull out and it shoots, because that's an AOW, and you can't just sell those to anybody. So there are limitations to what AOWs are, but weird things like that. The fourth thing they were going to add were pistols. So all pistols were going to become NFA items back in 1934. So when they had all this wrapped up, Congress was looking like, well, what loopholes are there going to be for these? And they were thinking, well, for a pistol, the reason they were going to ban those is because they're more concealable. So like somebody's just going to take a rifle, cut off the barrel, make it super short, and then they'll have a short-barreled rifle. Or they'll do the same with shotgun and then have a short-barreled shotgun. So they didn't want that loophole around the pistols being in the NFA, so they also banned short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns. Anyway, well then lobbyists were doing the Lord's work back then, and they were saying, hey, a lot of people have pistols, these are in common use, you can't ban these, that's ridiculous. And so they pulled pistols off of the NFA, and they didn't ever become NFA items and still aren't NFA items to this day, thank heavens. But in that, the legislature made a mistake, essentially, and they left short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns on the NFA, and that's how it went out that way. That's what's been the NFA since then, with some minor tweaks. So essentially, the whole reason short-barreled rifles are NFA items were because Congress did not want a workaround the NFA for when they were eliminating pistols. But once they pulled pistols off, there is no objective reason whatsoever for short-barreled rifles to be regulated under NFA items at all. Nothing. It's essentially a legislative mistake that short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns are even regulated at all. So, because pistols are more concealable, and if you look at the stats, that's what crime is done with even today. So, there's no reason. It's just a stupid thing that's still being regulated to this day. So essentially now you know why short-barreled rifles are regulated, even though it is super dumb. So we just got to live with it. And if you have any questions or comments or concerns, or think the ATF is horrible, then hit that thumbs up and maybe hit that subscribe button. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.